In this topic, we will be covering projects. A project inside of Autodesk Inventor is going to tell Inventor where to look for specific files. There's many ways to go back and create a project. In this case, we're going to start off from the File pull-down menu, and you can go ahead and click on Projects, and the project dialog box will start back up. Let's look at another couple ways of doing that. If I'm under the Open, you'll notice I have an option on the right hand side here called Projects. So let's go back and click on that. Let's take a look at what we have here. With this Projects dialog box, on the top portion of the dialog is going to be where or the existing projects that are on this specific computer, the ones that I want to go back and use. So you'll notice in this case I was in this Essentials Plus folder, but if I wanted to, I could go back and say I want to take a look at a Designs folder. If I just double click on that, it's going to go ahead and make that current. And then let's go ahead and save that. In this case it was a previous release, so we'll just go ahead and we'll accept that change. And then when I say done, the project has now changed where Inventor is going to be looking for files. So in this case, I have a padlock. I could go back and open up a specific part in regards to that. Let's go back to projects one more time. And on the lower portion of that specific project, we have some options. And we'll take a look at these as we go back, and we're going to create a project from scratch here. But I just want you to be aware, underneath here, these are the different options for the current project. So let's go ahead and take a look at creating a new project. So in the Projects dialog box, go ahead and click on New. And we have two options. So if you have Vault installed, you're going to have the new Vault project as an option. In this case, we're going to be working with just a new single user project. But to reiterate here, if Vault is not installed, this option will not appear in your list. So next, and now we're going to type in a name. So in this case, we'll call it Test. And where do we want that project to be stored? And let's just put it on C:\test. And you'll notice right underneath here, it's telling me exactly what's going to happen. It's going to create this test right under the IPJ, or with the IPJ file extension, if that's not what I want. So let's go back and place in a subfolder. We'll call it Test CBT. And you'll notice that that information has changed. So click on Next, and we're going to get some options. In this case, we can add a library. A library inside of Autodesk Inventor, these are going to be components that will not change. So if I place in a nut or a bolt, for example, that'll be a read-only by the given user. They will not be able to change that. So in our case here, we're not going to create any libraries. And I'm going to click on Finish. So in this case, it's telling me that that path does not exist. Should I create it? We'll go ahead and click OK. And you'll notice now I have this test project file. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click on that. And let's click on Done. So you'll notice now I'm now working in the Test CBT project. And of course there are no files existing in that since we just created that. Let's take a look at one other way of working with these projects. I may have one that's already in existence, or maybe I'm given some files from a client to work with. So let's go ahead and do that. So if that does not exist in the list, I can browse out and take a look at my directory structure here and see which other folders I want to go back and create. So in this case, I want to work with the Essentials Plus book, and there's an existing IPJ, again that project file. Go ahead and click on Open. And now I'm getting all of the given defaults for that specific project here as soon as I click on Done, that is. So now if I wanted to go to the Chapter 2 folder, I can work on that specific file and open that back up. The last project that I want to talk about here is we're going to create one more brand new project. In this case, let's just go under the Projects, click on New, And again, we're going to do a new single user. But in this case, this directory is already going to exist. So I'm going to call this the Inventor 2008 CBT project. And the directory already exists, so in this case, I'm going to navigate back out to my computer. It is on my C drive. We'll scroll down till we find the folder that I want. And you'll notice that I have folders underneath here for each of the given chapters inside of this CBT. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Next. And of course, if we don't want these, I could have just clicked on Finish as well to go ahead and create that. So let's make this project current. Now, if I go back and click on Done again and Open, you'll notice that I'm getting each of these given folders. And of course, there's nothing in them at this point because we will be populating them throughout this CBT lesson here. But now on the left-hand side, we have Project and we have Libraries. Or I'm sorry, it's called Workspace. In the Workspace, that is going to be where these files are going to be stored. So I need to go back and I'm going to do a little bit more work here. So since we're going to be navigating to the 11 different chapters here, let's go back to Projects and let's see what we can do to make our lives a little bit easier. So with that project current, down at the bottom portion here, we have some options that I want to take a look at. So under folder options here, this is where I could go back and navigate to where it's going to look for those specific files that may be shared for that specific project. Under options, this is where we can go back and set the number of versions to keep. It would be equivalent to a backup file that you may be used to in another program, for example. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to take a look at the frequently used folders or subfolders. So in this case, I right-clicked and we can add them individually. We can add them from a file or another project file. Or in this case, I'm going to add them from a directory. And just like we did before when we navigated out, I'm going to navigate to the location where those files are stored. So under that data set, I'm just going to select the very top directory. Go ahead and click on OK. And it's going to go back and it's going to populate my list here with all of those. And let's see, why is that important? So I'm going to go ahead and click on save that back off. But you'll notice now in my dialog box, think of these would be like shortcuts. So if I go back and click on Chapter 2, I'm going to see the components that are existing inside of Chapter 2, Chapter 4, and so on, which make it very quick and very easy for me to go back and navigate and find files. That concludes this lesson on projects.